Welcome back to the Nacho Kids Podcast.
We still married, y'all.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, after the last recording, it was fun. It's fun watching the comments and other people laughing about it, which is honestly part of what I enjoy most about what we do is bringing out the laughter in people, because
It's
otherwise
such a sad topic.
families suck otherwise.
Yep.
Oftentimes. So I want to make it fun.
Well, and it just showed you what a day in our life looks like.
Yeah.
We're a hot mess. Okay, so once again, David has no idea what we're going to talk about. We are going to talk about when the stepkid lies on you.
Oh, wow.
So while David gathers his thoughts,
I'm trying to think, okay, has this happened recently? Or are you getting this from somewhere else? It's probably the grandkid saying something about you. And then you're like, I didn't do that.
Now it'll be the step grandkids, right?
Yeah, because he's 3. The oldest is 3.
Yeah.
We have
almost
others.
4.
Yeah, before November. So he's a trip, and he's at that fun age.
And he can't say his L's. So instead of Lolo, I'm Yo-Yo.
Yeah. And so last night I had him telling Lori she was a loser. And he was like, Yo-Yo, you a user.
And I'm like, no, you're a user. He's like, I'm not a user.
Yeah.
He was in rare form yesterday because when he said he wanted a Minecraft cake and for his birthday, and I'm like, you're not getting one. He almost started crying. He was tired. Yeah. We don't need to get him in the evenings. He's tired and grumpy.
I know, but so much fun.
Yeah. For you. Okay. So we did experience instances where what the stepkids said and what I said were not the same.
Yeah.
A good example of that is when I would wake the kids up for school. This was pre-Nacho. Prior to me waking them up for school, David's mama woke them up from school. And she would wake them up. Rise and shine, sweet babies. Good morning. Mama was going to fix your breakfast.
That's the way you're supposed to wake up little bears.
Yeah. Well, I would open the door and go, rise and shine, kids that ain't mine. A little more loudly, not as lovingly.
It was obnoxious.
It wasn't like mean, like rise and shine, kids that ain't mine.
That's what it sounded like.
No, it didn't. So anyway, later that day, this was when we were in the middle of our crap, right? Or maybe the start of it, because I was still getting them ready for school. So later that day, I hear that Lori hollered at the kids that morning. And I'm like, I did not holler at those kids. Like, this is a bunch of crap. Here we go. Well, we talked about it and how I said I didn't holler at the kids, blah, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until a couple years later that I realized that, wait a minute, Nacho is actually what helped me realize this because of the whole self-development stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, wait a minute. It makes sense now. They were used to Mama. Good morning. And here I come. Rise and shine.
Yeah.
That is hollering. When you compare it to what they were used to.
Mm-hmm.
Was I hollering at them from my standpoint? No. But their perception was that I was hollering at them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically you were. You just weren't. Here in the South, when we say somebody's hollering at you, usually it's negative, like they're fussing at you.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, because I'll say I'll holler at you later.
Yeah, but typically if somebody's like, don't holler at me, it's usually like, don't fuss at me.
Right.
Or don't scream at me, or don't raise your voice to me.
Right.
But in this case, it wasn't that you were doing something negative. It was that you were literally just waking them up with your voice elevated.
With my energized morning self.
Yeah. So were you yelling or being louder than normal? Yes. So they weren't.
Maybe louder than normal for Mama.
Probably for you. I don't know. You're loud all the time.
Yeah. And I wake up.
You're loud and obnoxious all the time. So anyway, the point is their perception of what happened was not that they were lying about you. That was just how they perceived it.
Right.
Now, how it come across to other people was probably different. Like,
Especially when things were as bad as they were.
oh yeah, because you automatically default to the worst.
Right.
Like when they come to me and said, Lori hollered at me, I'm not thinking of the incident that actually happened. I'm thinking you're like over them and like screaming and get your butt out of bed. You can make me late one more time. And
I'm going to yank you out of this bed.
and it's that's often what happens when you're in a bad place with anybody. When you visualize in your head what happened, and it happens in an instant. But when you visualize that, you fill in all these story gaps,
Right.
and you do it in a way that's not accurate and is usually very negative.
Well, and all the stuff that we were going through at the time, because if my memory serves me correctly, since I was still taking them to school, we were in the issues, but it wasn't right. It was right before Nacho kind of thing, right?
Right.
Because things got a lot worse before the Nacho. And so it's important to be able to look at that from a different perspective. Like the kid's not necessarily lying, it's their perception. And if we would have been in a good place when this happened, your response wouldn't have been, oh, great, she's hollering at my kids. It'd have been like, that don't sound right. But since we were in a bad spot, it just automatically went to that bad spot in your head.
Yeah, it is. And it's when you're in those bad places too, it's very hard to have those conversations. Like you and I now, if something does happen, I know I can come to you or you can come to me and we can say, let's have a conversation about an incident. This is what happened, or this is how I perceived what happened. And we have a very civil conversation about it. However, then things weren't as civil. Now, I don't necessarily recall us having too many shouting matches, but there were some.
Oh, there was one, but it was after Nacho, and I'll tell you all about that one day. It has to do with David and his button pushing.
That's completely different. That was
Just keep going.
okay. Anyway, the point is when you're in those bad places, it's hard to have those conversations, because if I come to you and I say, Lori, we need to have a conversation about you yelling at the kids this morning. Well, immediately you get defensive.
I didn't yell at your kids.
And
lying little sacks of
right. It can completely just devolve into chaos and fighting, and then it becomes a bigger problem than it was before. So that's the hard part, and that's where you almost need a mediator. And there are certain rules you should follow. And we talk about this in the academy and some of the courses. There are rules you should follow when you're going to have these crucial conversations.
Yes. And two, I'm sitting here thinking that it kind of hurt my feelings too, because it's kind of like when Dr. Butler told me they're not your kids. Well, it hurt my feelings because I'm like, I did not holler at those kids. But through the self-development, learning to Nacho properly and all that stuff that's tied in together, it's one big bundle of tools. It helped me realize that, wait a minute, I need to look at things a little differently. Now, let's talk about the same thing. But in this instance, something happened. I wasn't there. You told me your version. Jackson told me his. And they don't match.
Nope.
And it's hard as a parent to look at your child and go, I think you're lying. And it's hard as a spouse to look at your husband and go, I think you're lying. You don't want to think that either one of them is lying. So what's that saying? Your story, my story, and the truth.
And
then there's the truth.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is. But again, how do you address that with your kid? Of, I don't think you're telling truth. Or David, if I went to Jackson and said, well, David said that's not what happened, then he's going to hate you. It's going to make him madder at you. So then the kid is like, well, my mom thinks I'm a liar. David convinced her I'm lying.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's the other way around, David will be like, she's never going to believe anything I say because she's going to believe her kid. And I have to say that a lot of times we react to things and don't even see how we react. For example, I bring this up often. That time Jackson was on the couch and you said, get your lazy butt off that couch and do something.
That was yesterday.
It was not. And I was standing there, so I saw this, right?
All right.
And my response was, whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on, Nellie. You don't talk to your kids that way. You're not going to talk to my kid that way. And the look that came across your face was like, oh, no. Because I don't even think you realized it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realized it when I brought it to your attention. And you're like, yeah, you're right. Which I should have recorded that.
It's the only time it's ever happened.
That's not true. So again, we have to be aware of what we're saying, how we're saying it.
Mm-hmm.
And because Jackson could have come to me, David hollered at me and told me to get my lazy butt off the couch. And if I would have went to you and said that, you'd have been like, no, I didn't. Because you didn't realize you did it.
Yeah. Well, the other part of that story that we often kind of skip over is at that moment, I really had a choice that I could have went down the road of, you know, I could have just blew up like, you know, typically happens. I mean, not around
Start
here.
over.
But I had a choice in that moment where I could have blew up and defended myself and talked about whatever, your kid's lazy. I mean, I could have done all this kind of craziness. And
This
that's
is
where
my house.
whatever. But that's where a lot of the personal development and self-reflection and all this happens, where when somebody says something to you, you stop for a minute and you say, is this the truth? Or are they seeing something potentially that I'm not seeing?
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you pause. And yes, you don't respond immediately, but it gives you that ability to go, let me see here. Maybe they've got a point.
Right.
And then have the emotional fortitude to say, you know what, you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
I did do XYZ, or I was whatever it is. It's okay. And it gives that other person more trust and love for you because you're able to look at that and go, you know what? You're right. I was out of line. Shouldn't have done that.
And how you handled it was great because I got told I was right. But also you didn't blow up. So it didn't escalate it further, right? It was addressed. It was
the end of it.
It was the end of it. But I think anytime after that, if you went to say something to Jackson, you checked yourself.
Yeah, which I try to do anyway. But yeah, there are certainly times, mostly when, if I'm aggravated or I'm tired or I'm hungry or all these other things, I have to be very careful with anybody, not just in the house, but even at work or other places. I have to be careful not to let those things come into my conversation and be aggravated with somebody else or show it or whatever. It's hard to do. That's very hard to do.
Yeah. So we've talked about perceived lying.
Yep.
Let's talk about actual lying.
Yeah. Flat out lying.
Flat out lying like a rug.
Yeah. We've experienced that before too. Well,
speaking of, I got to tell you this, it's hilarious and it's completely off thing. So, I always say to the kids, you're lying like a rug.
Yeah.
And, I'm really big on the lying thing. And I've always told them, don't lie.
Uh-huh.
Well, with Ethan, that bites you in the butt because he's like, well, I was just telling the truth. But Branson sent me a picture the other day of a rug and the name was Lori. The name of the rug was Lori. He said, how you always say lying like a rug? Here you are, lying like a rug.
Yeah, that's one of those sayings where I think it was years before they finally realized what that even meant.
Yeah. They still probably don't know.
Yeah, but we've counseled a lot of couples, coached a lot of couples that I mean, honestly, they have some craziness where kids are lying about stuff. And I think sometimes it's even so bad the other parent knows they're lying. They just don't know what to do about it.
Right. And that's the other thing. So say Jackson said something to me and about you,
Mhm.
and I know that just it doesn't sound right. It wasn't your character. It's, and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. He's mad because whatever. You start thinking back of why is he lying?
Mhm.
So when we talk to these couples and there is obvious lying with the stepkids,
Mhm.
how do they handle that? It kind of depends on what they're lying about.
Yeah.
They could be lying to bio mom saying Lori does this or dad doesn't do this because they want bio mom to give them something, right?
Mhm.
Like, dad never takes us anywhere. That's a lie. We just came back from such and such. But to bio mom, it's, oh, I'll take you somewhere, honey. Right?
Yeah.
So kids are not always innocent. We know that. But there are also times that kids lie about big stuff,
Mhm.
like Lori hit me or so and so touched me inappropriately.
Yeah.
That's a big one. We've talked to many, many couples about that. It's shocking,
Yep.
actually.
Yep.
So when you know that the stepkid is lying, as a step parent, it's not going to be beneficial for me to go to David, your kids are lying. You can't believe what they're saying, blah, blah, blah. It needs to be a calm conversation. It needs to be, David, I'm concerned
Mhm.
because none of that happened. What can we do to make sure I'm not accused of these things later? Right? Cameras. We put up cameras,
Yeah. I'm a big fan of cameras.
not in the bathrooms, even though we did convince one of the kids there was a camera in the bathroom. And so he would stack the toilet paper up above the light switch because he
Yeah.
thought that's where the camera was.
Well, just in context, we had these light switches that had the motion detectors on there,
Yeah.
and so lights would come on when they walked in the room, and they'd go off after a few minutes because the kids would never turn the lights off.
That's the
So
way we solved that problem.
and so one day I put these motion detector things in there, and one of the kids walked in and was like, "What is this thing?" And I'm like, "It's a camera." So it wasn't that we were trying to convince them that there were cameras in the bathroom. It was more of a joke, and they just never they never questioned it.
Yeah.
They just went back to those. Oh my God, there's cameras in the
I'm
bathroom.
surprised they didn't tell your ex.
Yeah, I know.
Oh gosh. So
I didn't have to worry about them like trying to smoke in the bathroom.
we did have cameras in other places throughout the house,
Yeah, common areas.
common areas. They knew those cameras were there.
Hmm.
It was more so for when Jackson was here with them during the summer,
Yeah.
so I could keep an eye on him because I would pay one of the stepkids to make sure Jackson wasn't hurt. You don't have to babysit him really, but just make sure the
Just keep
others
an
don't
eye on
kill
him.
him, right?
Keep an eye on
Keep
him.
an eye on him.
Yeah.
Make sure he doesn't need anything.
Make sure you don't get into something.
So if I looked at the cameras, if Jackson wasn't at his computer and I didn't see him in the living room, then I knew he was in the bathroom because I could see he wasn't upstairs.
Hmm.
So that gave me some comfort to
Right.
know where he was and to be able to make sure that they weren't like trying to push him in the dryer or something crazy.
Yeah. And we could also turn the audio on the cameras. So,
Yeah.
you can
So I could
hear,
holler at him.
you can, well, you could hear if they were doing something, screaming at each other or causing a ruckus.
Right. Now, there was a time that with us, and this is also an option, but it's not a permanent option. And that's what you have to understand, where I didn't talk to the kids at all, or where I wasn't left with the kids at all.
Hmm.
So there was no chance that they could say I did something.
Yeah. And for a lot of couples, that's where we tell them to start. Like, you don't need to be left alone with them at all
Yep. Now,
until things settle down.
and just to clarify, I was never accused of touching the kids inappropriately. It
No.
was the hollering at them.
Right.
I don't even think they ever said I hit them.
No.
But
I
anyway,
don't think you ever touched them at all.
no, no. That one time to you who almost went down to blows though. But anyway, we felt that it was best with these stories being created
Hmm.
because there were 4 of them, remember? And you'd be like, yeah, just tell daddy Lori did this and we'll get her out of here. So I was no longer left with the kids alone. That removed the possibility that they could say anything that
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. Because for us, the biggest things were you were mean to them.
Mhm.
You did things mean to them. And I'm not saying you did. This is their perception of their stories. You were doing things that were mean to them. You
Like
were,
telling 'em to brush their teeth, God forbid.
you were showing favoritism to Jackson, like overtly. Like they made it sound like you would feed him and not them, kind of thing. It was just
And that was not the case, you know that.
no. So those are the things that we dealt with, which is mild in comparison to many, but it's still not, untruths, lies
Mhm.
that were being used. And for the most part, it was because the kids were in a position and at an age where, like, they don't want Lori here,
Mhm.
and they want their parents back together, maybe, but they
And
certainly.
they were getting fed from the other,
Oh yeah,
not just the other side, but your mama.
yeah. There were many other factors at play.
Mhm. So, one thing that we need to address is if you have been accused of doing anything wrong to these kids, don't be alone with them. If David's kids would have said I was abusing them or hitting them, now look, those kids were crazy. I could honestly see one of them hitting the other saying Lori did it. That's where this bruise came from. And if they would have done that and kept up with the story, I could have lost my kid, right? I mean,
Yeah, it can get.
these can be damaging consequences to these lies.
Hmm.
If the lies the stepkids are making up could affect your custody of your own children, something has to be done immediately.
Hmm.
Even if that means when the kids come to visit David, I'm not here. Or David takes the kids somewhere else for their visitation.
Yep.
At his mama's, at his sister's, whatever. That way, again, you remove the possibility of them saying anything was done.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, you just have to look at things like risk management.
Right. Now, I want to bring up something. We talk about our dogs a lot. We have the old dog, the OG, or the OD.
Yeah.
And she's more yours and Jackson's dog, I'd say. She's everybody's, but like Jackson loves this dog. He would honestly say, and I'll never forget this. He's like, Mommy, when I'm going to my dad's, is your heart kind of sad because you miss me? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, that's how I feel about Ziva. So the old dog. And then we got the two crazy puppies. Well, one of the crazy puppies is mine. I go to break a treat in half. Which dog do you think gets the bigger piece?
Yours?
Well, it's obvious because she's fat. But really, I have to sit there, and this goes to show you this is not intentional when it comes to your stepkids, right? Because we're going to say Kai's my stepdog,
Okay.
and then Veda's my fat dog. But I'm standing there with a treat, and I break
Your
it.
bio dog.
My bio dog. I break a treat, and they're both sitting there. Well, which one do I have a different connection with? Right?
Hmm.
My baby, the chunky one. So I make an effort to be fair.
I don't. I always give her the smaller treat because
I
she's
told
already
fat.
chunky.
I see, but I try to be fair with the puppies. The OG, she gets a whole one regardless because she don't even have to sit or anything for it. But with the puppies, I have to consciously go, you know what? I'm going to give the step dog the bigger treat this time.
The step
Why
dog.
are you laughing?
Because
It's true.
because I do the same thing.
Okay, you're fixing pizza for your kids. You're throwing pizza on a plate. All the
Mhm.
kids, step kids included.
Hmm.
The piece that looks the best, are you going to give that to the step kid?
I'm not fixing a plate for the step kid at all. Fix plate for my kid.
Okay, you're fixing a plate for everybody because I'm incapacitated or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. Unless I'm probably consciously thinking about it, just, subconsciously, I'm probably going to give all my kids the better pieces.
Right, the better pieces, the not burnt pieces,
Hmm.
the pieces with most toppings.
Right.
But it's not really a thought process.
No, not usually.
It's just you want your kids to have the best.
Of course.
Mhm. Is that wrong?
No.
It's reality.
Yeah. And just wait till they start dating and you have that mentality that you want your kids to have the best.
You can't choose that for them.
I know.
We're not going down that
We are
road,
not
David.
going down that road.
All right. But if you pay attention to things, and it's not even your stepkid, maybe, or your stepkid and your bio kid, maybe it's your niece and their friend.
Mm-hmm.
Which one are you going to give the bigger piece of pizza to, or the better piece of pizza? Your niece, right?
Maybe.
It's just a given. Okay, turn it around this way.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting drinks for me and a friend of mine.
Okay.
We're sitting at something, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the drinks looks a little flat when they pour it. Are you going to give that drink to me, or are you going to give it to my friend?
Is it your hot friend? I'm gonna give it to you, darling.
What if my friend's hot, David?
I'm still gonna give it to you.
Why? I mean, is it like you're thinking, oh, I'm going to give the friend the crappy drink? It's no.
No, I'm gonna give you the better because I have a relationship with you, a positive relationship with you.
Some days. But again, it's not a thought process of let me give them the crap and Lori the good stuff.
Right.
It's because of the relationship we have. And you cannot deny the biological bonds that you have with your biological kids.
Right. You should like I think if it was if the scenario was you're going to get a drink for me and Jackson, I almost always assume that if there's a little bit more in one bottle than the other, you're probably going to give it to Jackson.
It depends.
And so even if you did, not that I'd ever noticed, but
I don't know.
even if you did, it wouldn't bother me. Like I wouldn't look at it and go, well, here's something that happens often. Honey, here's you. Honey, what do you want to eat? And I'll say, for example,
I'm so tired of freaking
I
eating.
might say something like, I'd like to have Chick-fil-A. And then you might say something like, well, let me go ask Jackson and see what he wants. And then you come back and say, well, Jackson wants Bojangles. So what do you want from Bojangles? And I'm like, what the crap? Like, Bojangles was not my option.
Guilty.
So, like,
because I know that you'll eat pretty much anything.
I will, but that's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make is you made a decision to choose his option over mine, but I don't care about that. Like, that's inconsequential to me.
Well, now, the other day, I will say, he wanted Chinese and you wanted Japanese. Japanese.
What?
Japanese.
All right. Well, at least we were both in Asian territory.
Yeah. So I asked him, I was like, what about the Japanese? And he's like, okay.
But if he would have said no,
then you'd been eating Chinese.
Exactly.
Or I'd have went to two different places.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you would do that.
I would do that. So. Because I want everybody to be happy.
Yeah.
That's that middle child syndrome crap.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm more flexible on a lot of things, but certainly food. So I don't really care. Just give me something.
I'm so sick of the food discussion, and I don't know why it falls on mostly the woman, and we're going to say that, to, honey, what's for dinner? I'm going to start asking you.
So I don't.
That's it.
I think I've explained this ad nauseum, but I'll explain it again.
Ad nauseum?
Ad nauseum.
Ad or ag?
Ad nauseum.
Ad nauseum.
Whatever. Too much. Because you care more about what you eat than I do. And so I'm like, I don't care if you go here, 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 here. Just let me know where you're going. I'll pick something from there. Whereas you have more, I want this from here, or I have a taste for this, or I don't want that. And so it's easier to start with you. What do you want? And then I will narrow down my choices from there. Because if you ask me what I want, here's a normal situation. Honey, give me some options of what you want. Okay, I want Chick-fil-A or Bojangles. And then you're like, what about Taco Bell? And I'm like, Why didn't you just tell me that that's what you wanted to begin with?
Well, that doesn't happen all the time. But let's talk about when it's not going out to eat and it's cooking,
Okay.
which I hate to do. Why is it up to me to decide what's being cooked?
Because I care so much
Oh,
about you that what you want
I want to
matters.
not cook. I want to not have to decide what's for
Okay,
supper.
we're getting off
I
topic.
want to
We're getting
not.
way off topic. Let's get back to the line.
Yeah. Well, you're lying.
Okay. We'll discuss this later.
All right. David won't let me go down that
No,
rabbit trail.
no. Just be thinking about
But that's
dinner.
what I
Go ahead and
want.
think about dinner tonight. Let me know what you want.
I'm eating cereal.
Okay, that's
S'mores.
fine. I'll
Cereal.
s'mores. All right. Anything else on the line topic?
Well, what about when the stepkid not lies to you, but lies to, say, your family?
Mm.
So then you have your sister or your dad, we'll pick on your dad because we usually pick on your mom, come to you and say, David, Ethan, we always use Ethan. Ethan said Lori kicked him in the head.
And I'll be like, she can't raise her leg up like that.
I actually did kick him in the head one time by accident. Remember at Monkey Joe's?
Well, for the first rule, if there's rules, the first rule is
There needs to be rules.
Yeah.
The first rule is there needs to be rules.
Yeah. You definitely need to let the person, the family member handle that. The family member being like me. I'm the family member. I'm the biological person. In other words, don't let the step parent shouldn't be addressing that with that stepkid's family
Right.
member.
So Papa shouldn't come to me and say something to me.
He shouldn't, but if he does, your response would be
You need to talk to David.
Yeah, you need to take that up with David.
And you shouldn't put it on me to deal with it
Right.
with Papa.
Yeah. Or you hear about it and then you go to him.
Right.
Or whatever the case might
be. Let the family stuff stick with the
even
family.
if it's brought up in your presence. Like,
walk away.
Yeah, be like, I'm gonna let you guys talk through this. I'm going to the bathroom.
Mhm.
I'm going to Taco Bell.
Because when we are accused falsely of something,
Mhm.
we get defensive.
Yeah.
Which is an emotion. And then it's easy to let that emotion take over to where nobody's hearing anything that's being discussed.
No. And then the problem becomes your response, not the actual incident that you're supposed to be discussing.
Right.
So,
and then you could turn to me and say, hey, I want to talk to you about something. Apparently one of the kids told dad that you kicked him in the head. And I need to figure out where that's coming from. Not automatically, did you kick my son in the head?
Why did you kick my son?
Or why did you kick my son in the head? But let's talk about this. Let's figure out.
Now, if he's got a shoe print on the side of his face, you're like, somebody kicked him in the head.
So let's figure out what's happening.
Right.
Calmly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because if it's, in that scenario, you got two choices. Either it was an accident or it was malicious.
Right.
If it was an accident, deal with it like an accident. Give it the proper emotional weight.
Mm-hmm. What if it didn't happen at all?
Yeah. If it was on purpose, yeah, you got bigger issues to talk about.
Right. And if you come to me and I say that never happened,
mm-hmm.
As a parent, how do you handle that? Because you've got your dad saying that Ethan told him I kicked him in the head.
Mm-hmm.
No, Ethan hadn't talked to you about it. But then you talk to me and I'm like, that didn't happen. So how do you handle that as a parent?
I think for me, what I would do is, go back to the kid, probably do it each one of you, but so my dad in this scenario, my dad's not even part of the conversation right now. He's just relaying information. Yeah. So I'm not going to talk to him right now. I'm going to the kid and then come to you. But I want to know from okay, tell me exactly what happened. Like, act it out if you have to. I want to see what's going on. Because maybe you were getting in the car and you threw your leg over a seat or something and you thought you might have hit the seat and you actually hit him.
Right.
whatever.
And he never said anything.
Right. And you're
Right.
like, I didn't kick him. Well, I actually did. You just didn't know it. And it
Right.
wasn't on purpose, whatever. So I'd go back through and I try to like, let's break this down and analyze it and find out what's going on. And then I'd go back to you with the same thing. But I would really try to figure out how could this have happened, potentially have happened, but yet they have so drastically different stories. Maybe, not always, but maybe you can start finding out where the commonalities are. And you're like, oh, I see what happened now. And I also see where both sides of the story could come from. It's not that either one of them are necessarily wrong. They're just seeing one thing in two different ways.
Okay.
Or it could be that, no, you're absolutely right. It did never happen. And my kid is coming up with a crock of crap trying to get somebody in trouble. But guess what? You get to be the investigator. Who is it? Sherlock Holmes. You get to be Sherlock Holmes, and you got to put all the evidence together and you got to come up with the conclusion.
And I think it's important, if you realize your kid is not being honest, that you don't call him a liar, but you talk about how it's so important to be truthful so people believe what you're saying and things like that. You want their word to mean something. You don't want them to think that lying will get them places.
Right.
So with all that being said,
Mm-hmm.
if your stepkid is lying on you to their parent, you need to discuss that with the parent. But you also need to be able to look at it with an open mind and try to see it from their perspective to see if it could be viewed that way.
Mm-hmm.
If your stepkid is lying to their other parent in the other home about you, that needs to be addressed between the two bio parents.
Yep. And the other thing I'd say too is look at how you can even avoid this happening in the beginning, period.
Duct tape.
Well, just, like we mentioned, don't have the interaction with the kids, or if the kids come over and then you're not there, whatever the case might be, until you get to that point in your relationship where you can be there and not have these things happen. What actions can you take to remove those risks from happening?
Right. All right.
All right. Well, we'll see you again next week. And remember,
Life is good
when you nacho.
You weren't supposed to say that.
Life is good
I'm not saying it now.
when I nacho. All right, ready to wrap it up again?
No, this is it. I'm leaving it just like this.